Hello, everyone. I'm going to wait for a couple people to get on here, but I have about 15 minutes and I haven't gone live in a while, and I wanted to share some important resources that are available for people who are looking at doing some civic engagement and advocacy at the local level across Canada. As many people know, I've been working at that local municipal level since about this time last year. Pointed out that Agenda 21 is really an agenda for the 21st century. It's all over their documents. It was actually drafted with the participation of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities in 1990, 1991. And KICLEI Canada, which was founded by the United Nations in 1990, the International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives, and then, of course, agreed to in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. And then after that, the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, put forward the municipal primer, a 40-page document on how Agenda 21 would be implemented through Canadian municipalities. So this is why in Canada, our vast country, when things are happening at that international level and national level, and we want to do something about it, the best thing that we can do is to start watching our local councils and their agendas. And we've identified the voluntary UN directive programs and the motions that have brought them in. And we can effectively advocate for these programs to be withdrawn from. So I wanted to pull up an article I put out yesterday. I hope that this will be an effective tool for everyone over the summer. There's something that everyone can do to push back on this agenda. And in many cases, I truly believe that just some of these steps are going to be effective in moving our councils out of these programs. They are the ones who need to opt out, that the councillors themselves need to move these motions. And so, share this with your council members, share this with the staff that you know in the city. I think that there's good people on both sides here. And if they knew what they had signed up for, they would likely opt out. So let me just get back to see what you see here. Fantastic. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to look at the comments. Please ignore that first comment from me. I will update the link after to the one that is in this post. Okay, so this article goes over the brief history of what happened here in Peterborough, how we pointed out that the UN agenda was being implemented at the local level. It's stirred the pot. Justin Trudeau flew into town, met with our mayor and council. At the same time, people reached out to me from Peterborough County, residents, hardworking farmers, and they were concerned about the imminent passing of the official plan in Peterborough County. So we did delegations in Douro-Dummer. We pointed out that the official plan was putting restrictions on population growth in the rural areas and limiting severances, so stifling natural community development. And of course, this was all done with a glaring lack of public consultation. And the council happened to agree with us. What would have happened if we didn't show up that day, right? They happened to agree with us. They voted to delay the approval and look for more public consultation. They brought that vote the next day to the county level, and the majority of the mayors there also agreed with us. So I truly believe that the majority of local councils are open to hearing from their community. And if we can present our opposition in a way that is diplomatic and thoughtful and reasonable, they are sitting in the position to make better decisions for us and our communities. And I think that they understand that something needs to change here in Canada, and they need to take responsibility for the fact that they are in a very important position where they can actually save Canada moving forward. So we know that the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, very much recognizes that local actions equals national results. And most recently, this just goes through what we've learned so far very briefly. In Niagara, we tackled the Partners for Climate Protection program and really uncovered what that program is. It's actually, I think they have about over 500 municipalities in Canada signed up. And in those municipalities, 98% of Canadians are living. So they are basically collecting all of our energy consumption and waste data and then giving that to KICLEI, an international third party connected with the private green energy and technology sector, and then getting them to set reduction targets to net zero by 2050, and then selling them on all of these projects and massive expenditures. And in Thorold, in Niagara, with the work that we did there, which I'm going to show you in a minute, the steps that we took, the staff actually recommended that they opt out of the program, and the council voted 7-1 in favor of opting out of the program. So this shows that this civic engagement works. And if you have gotten to a place in your research and advocacy that you're not ready to just give up yet, and you actually think, you know what, maybe there's a few more things we can do, feel free to follow along with the KICLEI initiative, because that's where I'm at, and I want to see us win all around moving forward. So this does need to happen all across the country. And if I can lay out the strategy and the principles, then we can move forward together without having to micromanage from here, which I actually am not even able to do because I have a life. Believe it or not, as much as I love you all and will do anything to save this country, I do need to have balance with that. So that's what this is all about. This article here goes on to how you can drive change in your community. So I highly recommend everyone subscribe to the KICLEI Substack, and that way you're going to get a better understanding of how the global agenda is influencing your community. I'm releasing articles and videos on climate policy and on UN directive programs and how they affect local governance. And these articles are designed and worded to be shared with your local counselors and with your broader community. So it's a great article to share that will actually give you an open door to start entering into dialogue about these important issues. So next, you can get involved by visiting the KICLEI website and filling out our intake form. So I'll show you that. So this is essentially a landing page for people interested in grassroots initiatives that can counter the global agenda. And if you would like to join us, as it is suggested, you can just fill out this intake form and endorse our recommendations. Okay, I'm going to go back to here. Oh, you can also access all of our social media. Let me show you that. So if you're looking for different platforms that we're on Substack, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, TikTok, and Facebook. Here's some examples of the Canadian Current. So that's local news that has a national impact, and Climate Science 101, which I'm having so much fun writing the articles for and creating these videos. And then, of course, there's the KICLEI Substack, but there's also Gather 2030 Substack. And this is an open invitation for any Canadian activists and groups across the country. If you would like to write an article regularly or even just once in the for the Gather 2030, it's really all about bringing us all together and showcasing our different work and our strategies, and especially effective strategies that work and that bring our communities together. All right. Okay, so the next step is all about learning the art of civic engagement. Now, let me just grab my Mary Baker book here. Okay. So this is a fantastic book for anyone who wants to be more active in your community and challenge powerful entities that threaten public interests. This amazing little book, it takes about 2 hours to read. And is designed so we can read it and then get out there and get to work being a lot more effective in our advocacy across the country together. And I think when people are like-minded and they have a shared mission, it's important to ground ourselves in something together, a written work together. So I'm going to recommend Mary Baker's book. She emphasizes respectful and peaceful activism, focusing on building trust and finding solutions rather than resorting to anger and hostility. So I recommend at the very least any person who's seriously interested in the KICLEI initiative, get a copy of this book, and you can find a link to that through that article. Okay, next in this article, we go into preparing for battle and identifying PCP participation. So it takes you through the steps on how you can visit their website. This is the Partners for Climate Protection Program, and how to obtain the joining resolution for your municipality so that you can create a motion to reconsider that participation. And I provide examples here. To put forward through delegations and even in your emails to your counselors. And then what we do is we draft a withdrawal resolution for the PCP program, and we're kind of doing the work for the council. This is what the staff does. This is what the global lobbyists do. They do the word work ahead of time for the council. So the council just has to do some slight modifications and take it from there. So we want to be helpful and assist our local councils. Here's also some wording for a petition to support the withdrawal from the PCP program. And if you're interested in doing this, it would now be quite easy to take this and turn that into a petition for your local community and spend the summer educating people and gathering signatures. Okay, another step you can do is you can get a hold of on the KICLEI website there some of our merchandise. It's a really awesome logo. KICLEI is all about kicking the International Council out of local environmental initiatives and promoting the message of localism over globalism. So I think that's something that most Canadians can get on board with. And you can find t-shirts and sweaters and buttons and bags and stuff like that on the website. And, feel free to wear those to your local councils. They might have heard what we're doing. And actually, if there's one of the steps is finding friendly counselors. So that might be a good way to find them. So, and that's the next step is building a support network. So identifying supportive counselors and community members, creating an email chain for your local team members and residents to collaborate, share updates, and make announcements to your community about upcoming delegations or meetings or so on, town halls. Hold regular meetings with your core team and stay focused on the mission. Don't get sidetracked with side issues. That is one of the things we need to be very mindful of is there's a lot of distractions when it comes to doing this work. So you need to stay focused on your mission and move forward from there. Then you start to engage with your local councils. So emails, calls, setting up personal meetings, doing delegations, basically providing them with public feedback and helpful information so that they can make better decisions for your local community. One simple thing that you can do is gather the emails of your local counselors and their contact information. And when I put forward a KICLEI Substack article, you can forward that to them or set up a meeting and kind of have a discussion around that material and go from there. And then, of course, attending your local meetings is really important. And this provides some information on how little steps on how you can on the purpose of attending the meetings and getting more people involved in going to the meetings and staying up to date on their agenda items. All right. And then doing delegations, there's some information on that as well, and a lot more information on the website. So I'll just move forward. So one thing that we're finding really effective since the PCP program is being sold to the council as an environmental stewardship program, which it's not, it's a data harvesting program. We're putting forward local environmental programs, draft proposals that will prioritize the community's needs and sustainable practices without compromising local autonomy and financial stability. So here's an example of what we put forward for the environmental stewardship program in Thorold. And if anyone is keen to develop this further and really come up with an amazing Canadian-made environmental stewardship program proposal for Canadian small town, rural, villages, cities, so on, I would love to see different drafts of this put forward. So there's a whole bunch of work to be done around that. The other thing you can do is print off our KICLEI flyers. They're free, they're on the website, and use those when you're out gathering signatures and educating your community. Or if you're going to hold a town hall, there's a nice little town hall flyer there that you can put your information in. It also talks about how you can utilize social media, something we all need to learn how to do and get better at, creating our own videos and building our platforms, especially at that local level. This talks about reaching out to local media and doing press releases and, sending those press releases to your counselor so that they can feel the support for opting out of these programs, mounting on them. It really is an effective way to do that, to influence the councils. Organizing peaceful protests and rallies. Now, sometime in September, I am going to put forward a nationwide petition, and I will do an announcement at CPAC, and I will do a demonstration at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities headquarters at the Joan of Arc courtyard beside it. And at the same time, I would like to have nationwide rallies at all the local councils across the country. So we would send out press releases about this. And like I said, I would do an announcement on CPAC in Ottawa. So we can plan for that for September. And again, fill out that intake form on the website so you can get more internal email updates. And we also have information here on how you can do informal workshops for your community about these international programs and practical advice on civic engagement and advocacy. There is an example of a PowerPoint here, down here, with lots of good slides that you're welcome to use. And then it also encourages you to collaborate with other grassroots movements and network with local and national groups that share your goals to strengthen your efforts. And then I talk a little bit about how ChatGPT can be a useful assistant in some of this work that we're doing. We all need a little bit of help these days, and ChatGPT is something that is very great at turning some of our work into very presentable reports and even delegations and so on. So in conclusion, before I run off to work, I just want to say that the KICLEI movement and what we started here in Peterborough last year, let me just end this and come back. What we started here last year, hi guys, sorry, I couldn't see any of you up here, but this all started last year with a delegation, right? And then an official plan was delayed. And then strategic plans were delayed. And then we found the Partners for Climate Protection program. And we found out that the UN directive programs were being voluntarily implemented and agreed to at the local level. and that was done with the passing of a motion. And now we found, okay, we can get these motions to be reconsidered, and we can actually get them to withdraw. We can get our counselors to withdraw from these programs. So a lot's happened in that 1 year time span. Delegations have gone off all across this country. We've taken different approaches. We've tried different things. And now we found something that really works, right? So I can just imagine in 1 year from now, how much further ahead we're going to be. And that's why I wanted to put forward the strategy. I wanted to put forward some tools that you can use. Feel free to create your own posters, your own flyers, and so on. The idea of grassroots means that it's a knowledge of what's happening that we want to address together, but we have to recognize that each of us is in a different municipality and the ball's in a different spot. The terrain is a little different. You know, some of these programs are being done by the city. Others have local NGOs administrating the programs. Others have conservation authorities administrating the program. It's not impossible to figure this out. You just call your local staff and ask them to find that information for you. It's right on their website that they've joined the program, right? So it's not a hard thing to get that original joining resolution. And your job is to get them to withdraw from that program and reconsider that motion, and you just throw everything you have at it, and they will back out with the right amount and the appropriate and the reasonable amount of public pressure that is done in a way that in one way gives them an alternative, so a local environmental stewardship program, and at the same time they don't have to necessarily agree with some of the things that we might want them to agree with. We just need them to opt out of the program because it's financially a burden and it doesn't align with our environmental stewardship requirements here in Canada. And it's not an environmental program, it's a data harvesting program, and we have privacy concerns about it. And we have problems with the amount of money that they're spending on these initiatives, and they just don't seem to work for Canada. Canada doesn't need bike lanes everywhere. Canada doesn't need green municipal fleets. Canada is 80% uninhabited and has 0.5% of the world's population, and CO2 makes up a fraction, 0.0415% of the Earth's atmosphere, and humans are responsible for like maybe 3 or 4 or 5% of it at the very most, right? Let's give them the 5. Who cares? Honestly, we use our fuel to heat our homes, drive to work, cook our food, and go to the cottage or on vacation once in a while. Canadians are using fuel responsibly, and we don't need our fuel and energy options reduced or restricted. And we need affordable energy and energy security here in Canada. And we also are dealing with a housing crisis, and these policies are moving people off the land and into the cities. And I'll put forward, I can't put it up right now because I got to fly, but I'll put it up on my page if you didn't see it earlier. Here in Ontario, the Housing Accelerator Fund, 2 municipalities put forward resolutions just recently crying out, rural municipalities crying out and saying, wait a second, only 0.2% of the Ontario Housing Accelerator Fund is going to rural Ontario municipalities. They are trying to kill our rural townships, and that makes up the majority of the land here in Ontario. They don't want us on it, and they want to build up these huge high density housing. And if you look at their version of what their ideal sustainable development city looks like, it is like one massive tower that holds 20,000 people and has everything you need in it. And it's just disgusting. That is not what Canadians want, not what we need. We have a beautiful land, we have beautiful small towns, beautiful people all across this country. And with that, I think it's time for us who can keep our heads together and keep our emotions under control, to go in there and start being the most reasonable people in the room and getting them to opt out of these programs. I got to fly, guys. I love you. Please check out that article, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.